some things just make you happy. Hi, you're watching Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide. I'm trying to do a reset. Remind myself to do that. Give a thumbs up. Support the show if you can. If you can't, that's fine. Patreon.com/HalSparks is what keeps us on the air, along with your super chats and your bits and your eyeballs in the algorithm. So, and the thumbs up help. They really, really do. We need to see Chip Sparks for Congress, Cat. I agree. So, some things just make me laugh. There will never be a day where Devin Nunes, no matter what the situation, right out of the gate, always looks like a guy who is showing up for a Tinder date and he accidentally farts right as she opens the door. That's the face. That's what that is. That's it. Hello. So this is debunking the Davos agenda. The rich elites who these assholes desperately want to be a part of, but basically this is sour grapes. They didn't invite us, so the band sucks anyway.
Here with reaction, former senior advisor to President Trump, Stephen.
Jesus Christ, and current vampire mafia lawyer. Yikes. This looks like a headshot for a character actor who wants to be an extra in the Hulu Godfather series. And then this guy looks like he farted on him. Look at that. That's fucking amazing. That's not even a freeze frame. His face is just sitting like that.
Miller, along with former...
Credit where credit is due. Nosferatu over there is actually moving his face muscles. That's it. This is a lock. Maybe...
Chairman of the House Intel Committee, Devin Nunes. Devin, your reaction to all of this. It's been one...
By the way, I love videos put up by people. Devin Nunes posted this, by the way, so he gets judged the most, where he is being asked to give context to something, and he does not include what the fuck he's giving context to. How much truthier can you get? If they can't see what you're talking about, who's to say you're lying?
One big con, one big lie, one big, hypocritical, elitist, endeavor that's going on there.
Yeah, endeavor. That's the word I would have looked for. Hypocritical, elitist endeavor. And this is a guy, who am I to question? Sean Hannity talks for a living. He's on television every night. He's at his fingertips. He's got access to the best, the flurb of the...
And that's been pushed worldwide for 4 decades now.
Pushed worldwide for 4 decades now. Now, Devin, please push it worldwide for us.
Well, Sean, my first reaction is that Steve Miller and I were a little surprised that
we weren't invited because the obvious is always shocking.
You didn't fly down in the Fox News jet, pick us up, and take us over there. We could have done
He's kind of, that's the inside joke. And he's not kidding.
Live reporting. My second reaction is that
we should have.
They claim, the media is claiming, it would have been fun, but they're supposedly, the media is claiming, the right wing, they're saying this is now a conspiracy theory that there's these global elites. Yet here they are.
That's okay. There's a difference between groups that meet out in the open and have world economic forums and the like, whether you like what they're saying or not, and global elites, the way they talk about them. Because what they're talking about is eyes wide shut, hooded fucking sex parties by baby-eating fucking cabal people.
As you pointed out, in Davos, Switzerland, at an event for global elites, claiming that they're not global elites, yet, I don't think the average American even knows this is going on.
How could they not know what was going on? They've been pushing it out to the world for 4 decades. Did you not listen to Sean? This is gonna be painful. This whole thing. Fuck my life.
And I didn't get my invitation, Sean, and
Jesus Christ. Like he's falling back to the gag. I've got, oh my God, Melissa, thank you so much. It makes it worth it. I'll soldier through. Deanne, thank you as well. Devin smells like what? It's a little icon. Sean's projecting it. Devin smells like, I'm going with pig ass. Something, I don't know.
I don't think you got your invitation either.
Yes, because you're not elites. You're not at all. Not in that respect. You have, here's the thing. Most of the quote elites that are there are people who have either been judged by their fellow business people or their constituents in the, in countries where there's democracies choosing people to be the chosen representative, and therefore they are elite because it's a small group of people who are chosen by their people's people to go represent them at things. That kind of elite, not tallest with the bluest eyes and the straightest spine and the biggest Zeke Heil, which is apparently how they think it should be run.
I got no invitation, and I know Steve Miller didn't get an invitation. So they fly there in their private jet, then they lecture us about not eating meat and how we should change our lives. They want socialism, Stephen Miller, but socialism always ends the same way. Whatever name, whatever form, whatever manifestation. It ends with broken promises, things that are unfulfilled. It ends in more poverty.
He's heartbroken. He never got his records back. The last time he fucked this socialist chick in college, and she never called him again because she was occasionally she would call and laugh and hang up, and then he never got his records back, and she still got that pair of shorts that she borrowed and left in.
And it ends in a loss of freedom every single time. Am I right or wrong?
Well, it's fairly broad. I mean, the same thing could be said of Republican rule. I mean, you look at the economic result of Democratic presidencies versus Republican presidencies. That's how Republican presidencies end, too.
No, you're exactly right. And you were also right when you said that these are globalist socialists. So they don't just want socialism, but they want a global group of elites.
A global group of elites is socialists trying to create a one world, new world, world order and stuff. And why weren't we invited?
People who gather at this conference to impose their socialist vision on all the rest of us in all of our countries.
Well, no, they're not proposing. They're not imposing it. They're proposing it. That's what people do in an open forum. Now, there are some people who proposed at the World Economic Forum that would not work, whether they were as loud as Al Gore, let's say. That's one thing. But there were a lot of people who made their proposal by not going. Voted with their feet, as it were. Neither of those visions, the person who went, fuck that, I'm not going to the WEF, thing because I don't agree with what the majority of those folks are talking about and I got better shit to do, or I think this is the perfect pulpit. Neither of those folks from across the spectrum are imposing anything. They are proposing.
Particularly in Western nations like the United States of America. And so what you see with all this ranting and raving about this fake climate emergency is they're trying to do
this fake climate emergency.
What they did with COVID by creating a permanent climate emergency that provides the basis for...
Yeah, context is what he means. Yeah, this is one of the other, like low-res, bubbling just below the surface conspiratorial thought waves that's going on the Republican sides, which is that somebody, Democrats, socialists, the elites, Marxists, whoever the fuck, got a sweet, sweet taste of lockdown during COVID, and they can't wait to do it again. They're just trying to find the right thing to tack it to so that you can't do anything, go anywhere, be anything, or anything like that. And that they're gonna, it's a trap they're setting. So and that's why every report you see of the flu or RSV when that came out, or fucking monkeypox or anything, like they immediately go, this is the next lockdown. They're just trying to lock us down. This is another version of it. And what they've decided is that the easiest one is climate. There's going to be a climate lockdown. The government is going to say no one can drive anywhere today because of the sun and because of the sky. And so that you're going to be locked down, and you're going to have an electric car that's on some sort of grid, and they'll be able to turn your car off without your permission. That kind of shit. That's where they're going with this.
For never-ending regulation and control over every aspect of our lives. Of course, they will be exempt from all of it. They'll be exempt from the mandates, the restrictions, the rules that they write.
Yeah, according to him and these folks, Greta Thunberg will be flying around in a diesel jet that's run on adrenochrome and oil that was only processed in the mid-70s, and eating giant steak burgers the whole way, and with John Kerry and Olaf Schultz, and or maybe Olaf the snowman from Let It Go. Yeah. That's who they're going to be. They'll be able to do this, like kind of, and understand. These guys think it should be them in that position. They believe in the sort of Ayn Randian Atlas Shrugged mountaintop idea of their own elites. Though their problem is not these people think they're elites. That's disgusting. It's that those people think they're elites. We're the elites, and hence the joke that they needed to run back and forth between each other.
Right, for the rest of us. And one more point, as you said, Sean, if they believed a word they were saying, they wouldn't be flying private jets. They wouldn't be cruising around in private yachts.
Well, sure they would, because they'd actually, smaller planes, smaller impact. They do it with offsets. They might not fly a giant corporation that might not have the offsets, or they don't believe in those offsets. And again, if you're buying carbon offsets for those things and you're net zero, there's nothing hypocritical about any of it. And all of those people are. As a matter of fact, they pat themselves on the fucking back about it.
They wouldn't have 15 mansions, and they wouldn't be ignoring China, the #1 polluter on planet Earth.
I don't think they're ignoring them. They just don't expect them to do anything. There's a difference between ignoring China and just letting them get away with it, and literally making the case that, yeah, we know they're a problem. They're not going to do anything. That's why, if anything's going to change, we're going to have to step up.
Why does China...
Yes, hello, Pot. Have you met cattle?
China get a pass?
They don't get a pass. They are unreliable, and they lie, and they're not going to actually do anything. They don't get a fucking pass. It's one of the reasons why we are reshoring factories out of there. It's one of the reasons why we're sanctioning them. It's one of the reasons why we're siding with Taiwan over them. It's one of the reasons why American companies, over time... And Xinjiang was the first step, but the environmental costs are a secondary aspect of it. And again, one of the only reasons why Tesla is there is because Tesla doesn't really sell cars. They sell carbon credits. The biggest profit maker for Tesla is creating an electric car that nobody will drive necessarily, and selling the carbon credits from that vehicle with no driver to anybody who wants to buy them, who produces a lot of carbon.
Paris Accords. Why is China? Why is India? Why?
Because China won't and India can't. China won't, India can't. This is like a grown man saying, why does a guy in jail not help you move, on the one hand, and why doesn't this toddler help you move? Why do I always have to get asked to help you move a fucking couch up a flight of stairs?
Why are they declared developing nations when they're the biggest polluters on the planet? Devin Nunes, last question.
Look.
Yes, let's. Devin Nunes from the Stockton area, which the whole area smells like pollution. Tell us all. And I think he's moved down to Florida since.
Look, Sean, this is the thing. Back in 2007, when I was in Congress,
You were in Congress doing what?
Remember, the Democrats took over, and they started out on this climate hysteria back at in those days. And we had a private meeting. It was off the record, or behind closed doors. They didn't want to do.
It was an off the record, behind closed doors, private meeting. Tell us what was said.
It publicly, because at that time they were embarrassed to talk about this global warming nonsense.
They were embarrassed to talk about it, and they're all lying about it. They all leaned across the table to a person, Nancy Pelosi, all these people. They all leaned across the table or standing near the fucking coffee going, I don't believe this bullshit at all, to Devin Nunes because he had a trusting face.
And I asked some of the people there, well, look, you say the oceans are going to rise. How much? How many feet? When's it going to happen? And I remember the gentleman said, by 2020, it's possible that New York City, Florida could be underwater, and we would have to spend billions of dollars building up all of the properties, all of the docks, all the boat docks, et cetera, et cetera. Now, look, I'm pretty sure it's 2023. I'm actually down in Miami, Florida right now, and the ocean seems to be the same level it was last year when I was here.
Okay. I think he's going with the... hold on one second. Let me find this. The inconvenient truth numbers, which, by the way, if you look at the IPCC, there are 7 possible tracks. Graph. Yeah, whoops. Graph for, let's see. Look at the sea level rise one. Come on. Download. Open it up. Where are you? Okay, this will be, there's the sea level rise one in here. It's written, but they have, there we go. So these are comparisons of recent estimates as far as like from several of these things. I want to see if they have the multiple version one. Rise of sea level, calving, balance. Yeah, so part of this is them going through the... I'm just looking through their paper live here. So there's the estimated contributions to sea level over the last 100 years. Best estimate. The Greenland ice sheet is the best estimate. This is the most of it is coming from the melting of the Greenland ice sheet, and that has to do with hot water. Thermal expansion, 246. Glaciers, small ice caps. It's other ones. This is the high end. This is the middle, and this is the low end. Now or the best estimate. The low being here and the high being there. Total and you got total observed. So these are the ones they actually physically track here. 10, or like have people go out there with a ruler and have been tracking it at this time. 82, 83, 86, 87, 90. There we go. So best estimate Greenland and it says total rise. Okay. Best estimate 40. These are millimeters. Hold on. I want to find the right one for this. How might sea level change in the future? Various estimates of future sea level are, let's see, rise are noted in table 9.9. Such estimates are very difficult to compare because different time periods are chosen and because assumptions regarding future greenhouse gas concentrations, changes in climate, response times, etc., are either different or not clearly stated. In general, most of the studies, these are like multiple studies, in each scenario, projections show reflecting the high, low, and best estimate for each of the coming factors described below. Methods of assumptions. Okay, hold on. Let me find a better one for you because I know there's a big graph. I know which one he's referencing, why they thought that in particular at the time. Let's see, ICCP temperature predictions graph. I don't know that. So projections graph. Yeah, there you go. So this is the. So usually in these cases, you average these things out. Where's this guy? IP6 graphics explaining how the climate is changing. Okay, this is carbon brief. Okay, so a couple of things. This is the amount of carbon in the atmosphere from basically mid-century to now, and higher. And we're at 400 now, 400 parts per million. 400 parts per million will give you about a 1.5 degree heat trap effect. To get a 2.5 heat trap effect, you need to double that because there's only so much heat carbon can capture. And so the idea is that's why it extrapolates out from now. It's risen to this obvious point. The next rise, that's why they talk end of the century or by 2050, because they're looking at India and China specifically spewing a lot of stuff into the air, going basically through the exact same industrial arc you see here, which is largely the Western world, and then China and India coming in, right about here and really starting to add to it, which makes it arc up even higher. Imagine this whole arc, attached to the top end of this because India comes online. That's the concern. Okay, so here's the surface warming thing. Now, this is 1850 to 2000. If you go back, the Earth has been way hotter multiple times. There's also been a lot more volatile storm systems, so much lightning you couldn't step outside. There's all sorts of environmental effects that unless you're a lizard, you're going to die during those times. And unless you're in a very specific slice of the area of the Earth where the environment protects you temporarily or it overcompensates by being very, very cold. Arctic sea ice melting. There you go. Now, this is the here you go. This is the historical, the 2.6, the 4.5, the 6.0, and the 8.5. These are the possibilities where the temperature could go to mid-century. Right now, we are currently, still in this bit of a rise. And the idea is that most of what we're doing will edge off of the top end of this. But if we don't do anything and India doesn't do anything and everybody just everything is coal-fired forever and ever, this is where it goes. And so this is the outlier. This is the low end is the outlier. More than likely it'll be somewhere in here. And this is the global sea rise, same kind of thing. Majority of it will probably be in this zone, which is still going to affect a lot of people, especially in the developing world. And then this is the low end, this is the high end. And over, at the beginning of this conversation, when you're having the conversation right here, and you don't really have a lot of divergent stuff, the only option you're seeing is this one. Now, this can still happen because, again, India is a major factor, Africa is a major factor, South America is a major factor. And once they come online, if they try to have an industrial revolution the way we did, that's exactly what will happen. And that was the concern at the time. But he thinks it's just, they were just being dicks. And
yeah. Devin Nunes, thank you.
That's it. Yeah, that's the answer. Miami's underwater right now. Miami's got a problem. Okay, hold on. Sea rise, New York City. Mm-hmm. New York sea level has risen 9 inches since 1950, and it's costing over $4 billion. It's costing over $4 billion, and it's speeding up. Here's the stuff they're talking about. And by the way, New York spends a shit ton of money pumping water away from the subway tunnels all the time. Sea level around Battery, New York has risen by 9 inches since 1950. Its speed of rise has accelerated over the last 10 years, and now it's rising by an inch every 7 to 8 years. Scientists know this because the sea level is measured every 6 minutes using equipment like satellites, floating buoys off the coast, tidal gauges to accurately measure the local sea levels as it accelerates and changes. Why? That's the thing. Most flooding happens in the winter. Solutions aren't simple. What's the future of the rise? This is the next 14 years. The last 48 years. This is the next 14. That's the sea level. That's the Montauk sea level forecast. That's very close to what we were talking about. And now we're talking to 2050 here. The rest of the world is going to experience a rise like this in, over time like the, 2100. but because New York is already fighting this. That's the issue. Flooding even when there's no rain. It's because of the seawall, blah, blah, blah. Increased storm surge flooding. That's where you see the subways fill up with fucking water. There you go. So this isn't that weird. It happens all the time. I mean, like subway flooding. Remember, like the electricity goes out in certain parts of the city. The water floods into the subways because the pump stations don't work. But what do these guys give a fuck? They're just mad because they weren't invited to Davos to be guests amongst the elite.